Good morning, guys. In this session, we are going to understand what is difference between JDBC and ORM. In the last session, we have understood ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. ORM is a theory, and Hibernate is a implementation for that ORM here. And how the people will be saving the data before JDBC means they will be saving the data in the files. After that, they will be saving the data in rows and columns in database. Okay. As JDBC is having some limitations, Gavin King has thought and he has introduced Hibernate Framework by using ORM theory here. Now, let me list out some of the differences here. So when we are using files, okay, so when we are using files, we can't able to store large amount of data. Okay, sir, I am having a large amount of data, like I am having users, okay, 200 users. By using files, we can't store, okay, large amount of data. Next, when we use JDBC technology, we can store only some middle scale and large scale application data here. Okay, that means when you are using this particular JDBC technology, you can store only middle scale and large scale application data. Means that means up to a certain limit only you can able to store the data here. But when we are using Hibernate, okay, when we are using Hibernate, this time what happens, you see, the object data is converted into a row and it is stored inside a table. Okay. So when we are using Hibernate, what is happening this time? Okay, so Java object data, okay, Java object data is converted into a row and it is stored inside a table here. Now, let me show you one simple example. This is a Java class. Okay, so my class name here is test.java. Okay, test.java. Now what I have did, okay, so I have created a object test t equal to new test. Okay, test t equal to new test. Internally, what happens? Internally, a object gets created with the reference variable what? With the reference variable t here. Okay, t, like this. A object gets created. That is great. Now, uh, now what is happening here when we are using Hibernate? This object, okay, so this object is converted. Okay, this object is converted into database. Okay, so this is what? This is database. Okay, so this is what? This is database. uh, Inside database, what we'll be having? We'll be having tables, right? Okay, so now let me take one simple table here. Okay, so this is a table. Okay, table. uh, no, inside table, what it consists of? It consists of what? Rows and columns here. Okay, and the data is stored inside the database table here, like one, okay, a something dummy data 2.2. Okay, now you got some clarity. What is that? By using Hibernate framework, okay, object is converted into, okay, so object is converted into row and it is stored inside the database table here. Okay, and it is stored inside where? Inside database table here. Uh, when we are using JDBC, internally what is happening here? We are using query mechanism. That means we are writing SQL queries to perform database relation operations here. Okay, like I want to fetch the data, where we will be using what kind of query? Select query. I want to update the data, we will be using what type of query here? Update query. Next, I want to delete one particular data. We will be using what type of query? Delete query. Okay. So such kind of operations we will be performing in by using what? JDBC here. Okay. Not only this, so we will be having CRUD operations. Okay. So CRUD operations, so some people will be calling as CRUD operations like create, read, update, and delete. Okay. So C for create and R for read. That means selecting the data, U for update, and D for delete here. By using Hibernate also, we can able to perform these CRUD operations in the database here. But when we are using Hibernate, okay, now observe guys, when we are using Hibernate, this time internally there will be one mediator. What is that mediator name? That mediator name is dialect. Okay, who is the mediator? Mediator name is dialect. Sir, what dialect will do? Dialect is responsible for conversion of row to object. Okay, so it will convert a row into a object here. Okay, a row into a object, a row into a object, and object into a row. Okay, conversion of row to object and object to row is called as what? Dialect here. Okay, sir, what is dialect? Dialect is a mediator which is responsible to do what? To convert row to object and object to row. Sir, I am having, okay, MySQL database and Oracle database. For every database dialect will be same, or for every database dialect will be different? For every database dialect will be different here. Okay, for Oracle database we will be having Oracle dialect. For MySQL database we will be having MySQL database. For PostgreSQL we will be having PostgreSQL data dialect here, like that. Sir, all these dialects are available in a package called org.hibernate.dialect here. Okay. Now you people tell me, what is a dialect? Dialect is a, what is dialect? Dialect is a uh, which is responsible. Yeah, correct. Okay. Now we will see what is the differences here. This is JDBC and this is Hibernate. Okay. So JDBC is used at persistence layer. Yeah, Hibernate is also used at persistence layer because both are related for database relational operations only. Very good. In JDBC, we have to write SQL query manually. Okay. In Hibernate, okay, so SQL queries are generated by whom? SQL queries are generated by dialect here. Okay. When we are working with JDBC, here JDBC is database dependent. Okay. That means when you are using this kind of database, Oracle database, okay, you have to write Oracle queries only. But Hibernate database is independent, okay, irrespective of what database you write. Okay, so you just provide the dialect name. Internally, it will take care of everything here. Uh, Programmer should have knowledge of SQL. In the initial classes, I told you, right? Okay, that means in advanced Java JDBC, we will be writing SQL queries. But in Hibernate, okay, if you don't know SQL also, no issues. Okay, Hibernate will write everything here. No need, okay, no need of knowledge on writing what SQL queries here. JDBC doesn't supports has a relation. Hibernate supports what has a relation. That means what? Associations. JDBC doesn't support inheritance. That is what? Is a relation. Whereas Hibernate supports what? Inheritance here. JDBC doesn't having cache mechanism. Okay, Hibernate has its own cache mechanism. Okay, so in JDBC, primitive object is directly given to database here. But in Hibernate, what is happening here? Object is converted into a row and it is given to where? It is given to database here. Okay, in JDBC, it doesn't support multiplicity, whereas Hibernate, it supports what? It supports multiplicity concept here. Okay, so these are the so 6 to 7 differences, I think so. 3, 3, 6, 3, 9, 9 differences. 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 9 diffe Now let me start. What is object relational mapping? ORM stands for what? ORM stands for object relational mapping. Whereas ORM is a theory and implementation is what? Implementation is frameworks. Sir, frameworks means what kind of frameworks? ORM frameworks only, like Hibernate frameworks, okay, Hibernate frameworks, okay, JPA framework, like that. Ah, Sir, what ORM will do? ORM is a mediator where it will get the data from our Java application. Okay, okay. It will get the data from where? From our Java application. Assume this is our Java application and it is getting the data. Next, what it is doing? It is convert. Okay, so it converts what? It converts into database understandable format here, because Java object doesn't understand database rows and tables. Database rows and tables doesn't understand Java language. Okay, so that's the reason in the middle ORM will play a major role here. What it will do, it will get the data from our Java application and it converts into database understandable format here. Okay, next. Again, what is happening here? Where again it will take the data from the database in the form of rows and columns. Okay, it will take the data in the form of rows and columns. Again, it will convert that rows and columns data into Java object. Okay, so it is converting this rows and data into where? Into this Java object, and it is giving to our back to our Java application here. That means this object is given back to where? To our Java application here. Who is doing all these things? ORM. ORM means what? Dialect. Okay, so here the main picture. Okay, who plays the main role here is, okay, so who plays the main role here is dialect. Okay, so for performing what? Okay, for performing object to row and row to object. Okay, for every database we will be having different types of dialects here. Okay. Now my question here is, what is dialect? Dialect is a class. Okay. In interview you have to tell like this. Okay. So dialect is a class which is responsible for conversion of what? Row to object and object to row. If you can see this diagram, you will be getting some clarity. Java application, ORM, database. Java application, okay, is giving object. Dialect is converting that object to row. It is giving to database. Database is giving some rows and tables. It is taking from database, it is creating an object and it is giving back to where? To our Java application here. uh, this is a interview question. Okay, so dialect is a class which is responsible for conversion of row to object and object to row. Now my question here is, sir, from the beginning of the class you are telling, okay, so hibernate, okay, so dialect will play major role, dialect will play major role. Sir, how dialect will play major role? Okay, so how it is possible, sir? Because internally, when we provide a particular dialect name, that means particular database name. Okay, so internally some classes has been created, and when we are using hibernate jars, okay, so those classes are responsible to convert all these things, because every database will be having its own language, right? We are in a classroom. Okay, there will be a one guy who knows only Telugu, there will be one guy who knows only English. Okay, because if a guy knows English, okay, if you talk with him in a Telugu language, okay, he can't understand, right? Because he knows only English. So that's the reason. Okay, when we are talking with multiple guys, okay, we have to change the language. Okay, such type of languages are available inside where? Inside a package called dialect package here, which is given by whom? Which is given by Hibernate here. Okay, now, uh, sir, how internally ORM will work? Okay, internally ORM will work. Okay, providing some instructions. Okay, so providing some instructions. That means it will tell to the programmer, hey programmer, okay, if you want to work with me, okay, if you want to work with me, okay, please provide me some instructions. Like what kind of instructions? Okay, so first it is saying, programmer, you give 50 percentage of code. Okay, that means you create the classes. Okay, you tell me the what is the dialect name, remaining things I will take care. Okay, so ORM says programmer, okay, so please give me 50 percentage of code, remaining I will take care. Okay, okay. That means half of the work is done by whom? Is done by ORM. Whereas in JDBC, everything we have to take care. Now again, I have wrote the same thing. Dialect. What is dialect? Dialect is a class which converts object to row and row to object, and it generates what? Now this time you observe, it generates SQL queries internally with respect to connected database here. With respect to connected database means what? If you are using Oracle database queries will be generated. If you are using MySQL database queries will be generated here. Okay. So this is what? This is a Java application. This is ORM and this is database. Okay. Now what we are telling? Okay. We are just providing instructions. Okay, hey ORM, this is my Java class. Okay, I want to create a table inside database called a table called student. Okay, so can you please create then ORM is telling programmer, okay, you have given me 50 percentage of code here, like you have created objects and all those things. That means you have created a class and all those things. Yeah, remaining I will take care. And it will create the object. That means it will create the table inside the database here. Okay, now who plays the main picture here? Mapping class will place the main picture here. What is mapping class? Okay, so we'll be writing a file called hibernate.cfg.xml, inside where we will be writing our entity class here. Okay, such type of entity classes are called as what? Mapping classes here. Okay, but ORM will says only one thing. Programmer, okay, programmer, class name must be mapped with the table name. Okay, so this class name should be mapped with what? Should be mapped with table name. Sir, how we will be mapping all those things in the upcoming sessions? We will be understanding like how to create an entity class and how to map all those things. But up to now, this is just a theory only. Okay, so first understand the theory, then we will be moving forward to practicals here. Okay, now we are starting version called Hibernate 5.x here. So before starting this, up to now what I have explained, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Mm. No doubt, sir. Yeah. Okay, Monica. Yes. Yeah. So, okay, guys. Now, let me continue. Let me move forward. Uh, so Hibernate is a what kind of framework? ORM framework. So which has a capability to connect to database. By connecting, what it will do? It will convert our object to row and row to object here. Okay. So how this Hibernate has been designed? Hibernate has been designed by using some predefined technologies. Like what are the those predefined technologies? JDBC is a technology. Okay. So JTA and JNDI, by using these three things. Okay, so Hibernate has been designed on top of these three technologies. Hibernate has been designed here. What is JDBC? JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity here. Okay, so it is meant for select operation, update operation and delete operation. What is JTA? JTA stands for Java Transaction API. It is used for what? It is used for committing and rollbacking the operations. Committing means what? Okay, so uh, that means what? We will be sending the object to database. Okay, so commit. If there is any failure, okay, we will be rollbacking it. Okay, so to perform those kind of things, JTA is used. Okay, what is JNDI? JNDI stands for Java Naming Directory Interface here. Okay. Hmm. Now observe guys, so this is Hibernate architecture. Okay, on top we'll be having what? ORM. This is Java object. Uh, on on below this ORM, we'll be writing what? XML file, configuration file, and at the below, okay, at the below. So JDBC, JNDI, and JTA. Okay, so first these three technologies are available. On top of these three technologies, what is developed? Hibernate is developed here, and this is what? Data. Okay, and this is what? This is a database here. Okay, so like this you have to understand. If anyone asks you how Hibernate has been designed, okay, so what is Hibernate okay, what is Hibernate architecture? Just tell them Hibernate is designed on top of JDBC, JNDI, and JTA. That's it. Okay. Now, how Hibernate high level diagram will be? This is our Java application, and this is what? A database here. Now, what we'll be writing first? We'll be creating a file called hibernate.cfg.xml. Step number one, create a file called hibernate.cfg.xml. Okay. Step number two, create a model class. Step number three. Okay. So map the model class here. That means mapping file here. We'll be having XML file or annotations here. We are learning Hibernate 5.x, so we will be using annotations only. Before 5.x and 3.x, we will be having what? XML files here. And next, this mapping file is responsible to connect to database here. So what database consists of? Row, right? Okay. So from our Java, we will be sending what? Object. Okay, so to convert object to row and row to object, we will be writing a class called test class here. Okay, so four files you have to maintain while developing the Hibernate application: configuration file, model class, also called as entity class. Okay, so mapping class, which we will be writing inside this cfg.xml only. Okay, and test class here. That's it. Okay. Steps to develop our first Hibernate application. To develop our first Hibernate application, what are files are required? So remember guys, again I will ask you. First file here is what? Configuration file. That means what? XML file. What is the next file here? Model class. Also called as what? Entity class. Okay. What is the next file? Test class. To perform what kind of operations? To perform select operations or non-select operations here. Okay. Now, let me tell you what is the difference between Pojo class versus Java Bean class versus entity class here. You all people has been completed core Java, right? In core Java, do you know what is a Pojo class and what is a Java Bean class? Anyone? Okay, now let me explain. Pojo class stands for plain old Java object. Okay, sir, inside Pojo class, we will be having what? Set method, get method, toString method, default constructor. Okay, so I am having a class called student. Student consists of what? Student name, student ID, student fee. Okay. What is set method? Set student name, set student ID. How to get? Get the student name, get the student ID. Setting the thing is called as what? Setter. Getting the thing is called as what? Getter. What is toString method? Okay. Object will be converted into a two-string format so that we can able to visualize the data which is present inside the object. Okay. And default constructor, when the class gets loaded, automatically a default constructor will be created. uh, what are the two types of constructors? Default constructor, and second one is called as what? Any guess? Anyone? What is second type of constructor we are having? Yeah, parameterized constructor. Correct guys. Parameterized constructor here. Okay. What is Java Bean class? So Java Bean class is same as what? Pojo class, but this time it implements what type of interface here? Serializable interface. Okay. Sir, what is serializable interface? I don't know. I want to send student object inside the network. Okay, so that means inside the network means what? Okay, so from front end to back end. So this time you have to implement what? Serializable interface here. Okay, if a class which implements serializable interface, such type of class is called as what? Java Bean class. Sir, what Java Bean class consists of? Again, same variables, okay, same default constructor, setters methods and getters methods as well as what? Two string methods here. Now, this Pojo class and Java Bean class, okay, so are the old things we actually know in the core Java. But this time we are learning Hibernate, right? In Hibernate, we'll be calling a class called entity class. Okay. Sometimes while developing the applications, I will be calling this class as well as a model class also, as a model class also. Entity class and model class both are same here. Okay, so don't get confused. uh, Sir, why this entity class is used? This entity class is used to provide instructions to Hibernate framework. Okay, so what it will provide? Okay, I am telling to Hibernate framework, hey Hibernate framework, please create a table, okay, with columns, okay, with columns. Okay, what is the primary key? We are providing the instructions. Uh, to tell to Hibernate framework, okay, so a Hibernate, this is a entity class, this is not a Java class. So how to identify Hibernate? On top of the class, we will be using what kind of annotation here? At the rate entity annotation here. Okay, so if you don't write at the rate entity annotation, okay, so this is not considered as a model class here. Okay, that means what, this is not considered as a entity class here. Okay. Now, what is a test class? In test class, we will be having main methods and we will be having some classes and interfaces which are provided by Hibernate internally. By using those classes and interfaces, we will be creating the objects and we will be sending those objects to database and we will be creating the data inside the database here. Okay. So that's it, guys. In the tomorrow's class, we will be understanding so how to write a model class or entity class. So what is the difference? Okay, what is the difference between Pojo versus Java Bean versus entity class? Okay, so how to write, like all those things we will be discussing in tomorrow's class. So that's it, guys. So up to now, what I have explained. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. No doubts. Everything is clear. Yeah. Okay. Now let me ask you some small questions. Now let me pick randomly and I will ask you questions. Uh, Now this time I will be starting with Jasmine Sheikh. Yeah. Now tell me, Jasmine Sheikh, what is Hibernate? Turn on your mic and respond. Okay. By using Hibernate, what we will be performing? We will be performing database operations, right? Yeah. Okay. Now you tell me, ORM is a theory or it is a implementation? Okay. Okay. Good. Okay, Jasmine. Now, Gayatri, now you tell me, uh, what is few differences between JDBC and Hibernate? Gayatri, turn on your mic and respond. Yeah, tell me, Gayatri. Very good. Few differences. What is difference between JDBC and Hibernate? Okay. Now, yeah, Shishmita, to create a Hibernate application, how many types of files we required? To create a Hibernate application, how many types of files we required? One is entity class. Tell me. Mm, yeah, correct. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Sushmita. Thank you. So, okay, guys. So, thank you for session. We will meet in tomorrow's class. Have a great day.